Hi everyone. Welcome to today's class. So we are going to discuss about Route 53 today. So this is AWS's DNS service, and we are going to look at a lot of different configurations and also a lot of practical scenarios. So I hope you guys are excited. So let's get started. So Route 53 is a highly available and scalable domain name service, right? So it is designed to give developers and businesses an extremely reliable and cost-effective way to route end users to internet applications by translating domain names to numeric IP addresses. And Route 53 has a lot of different routing policies, and it has a lot of resource records types that we can use. So it's pretty much similar to what GoDaddy does, but then it does a lot more things because it's AWS's own product, right? And so the basic translation that has been explained over here is translating www.example.com into a numeric IP address. So that's the simple routing policy. And we will be looking at such use cases when we work with our practical labs, right? And it's fully compliant with IPv6 too, which is great because AWS also supports IPv6 for most of its resources like load balancer or even EC2 instances that are spawned within the VPC and so on, right? So Route 53 effectively connects user requests from the internet to infrastructure that is running in AWS. So it can be EC2 instances, it can be load balancers, it can be S3 buckets, it can be an Elastic Beanstalk environment, it can be an API gateway endpoint and so on. So a lot of resources that has endpoints are supported by Route 53. And it also supports CloudFront too. So because CloudFront also has a DNS name that is auto-generated, we can go ahead and translate a very nice name that we purchase on Route 53 to the DNS name of CloudFront distribution, right? So you can use Route 53 to configure health checks also to ensure that the traffic that you send are to healthy endpoints, right, from the internet. And or you can also choose to independently monitor your health of the application and its endpoints. So let's say, for example, you have launched a load balancer and behind which there are two EC2 instances that are sitting. The load balancer is anyways going to go ahead and monitor the health checks of those two EC2 instances. But then you can choose to have Route 53 manage the health check for the load balancer, right? That's very much possible. And if suppose you would also like to monitor your on-premise infrastructure's application endpoints and do a routing policy based on that, you can still go ahead and use Route 53 for that, because Route 53 is an internet service and it's global. So it has a global configuration across all regions, and it's a global service, like how you studied that IAM is a global service, or S3's configuration is global. CloudTrail is a regional service, but Route 53 here is also a global service, right? And Route 53 also is a domain registrar. A domain registrar in the sense you can go ahead and purchase a domain name, and you can manage domain names like example.com and zerosinitiative.com for us, and so on, right? So it will automatically configure your DNS settings, as well as once you have registered your domain name, after you have paid for the domain name and it's actually registered, you will also get a concept called as hosted zones, which we are going to study in the subsequent slide. And it is also going to create two resource records for you, which is going to be the name server records for all of the name servers of AWS. And it's also going to create a SOA record, which is a start of authority record, right? So just let's learn about what a hosted zone is. So hosted zone is a Route 53 concept. So it's not available with any other domain registrar. It's an AWS native concept. And hosted zone is analogous to a traditional DNS zone file. So it represents the collection of your records that can be managed together, belonging to a single parent domain name. So if suppose, let's say that you have purchased zerosinitiative.com and you create a hosted zone for zerosinitiative.com, that means you're going to have all of the records such as website 1, website 2, website 3.zerosinitiative.com under that parent domain name, right? So to manage all of these resource records, you have a concept called as hosted zone. And you can choose to whether have this hosted zone as a public hosted zone or a private hosted zone. So all the records that you place within the public hosted zone will be internet resolvable. So you can resolve these records. But when you place it within a private hosted zone, you have to choose your VPC. So all of your records are created within the VPC, which means all of your records are going to be resolvable only from within the VPC, right? So that means, let's say, for example, you have a internal load balancer, right? Instead of an internet facing load balancer, you have an internal load balancer, and you would like to register this internal load balancer on Route 53 under a private hosted zone, which means all of the resources which are within your private hosted zone, which are within your VPC, they will be able to resolve these internal DNS names, right? But then if you ensure that your hosted zone is public in nature, then anyone sitting in the internet can resolve your endpoints to the respective translated record that you have specified, which could be an IP address or another domain name and so on. So let's look at some of the routing policies that Route 53 supports. So the first routing policy, which is the most simplest routing policy, is called as the simple routing policy, as the name suggests. So it is used to do a translation from a single DNS domain name, right, to an IP address, or it could be a domain name to a domain name and so on. So we will see one such example over there. So, but you can actually specify only one resource value over there. So the next routing policy, which is called as failover routing policy, you can configure an active passive failover. So you can have two environments set up, one environment that is sitting in Northern Virginia region and another environment which is the same configuration as the Northern Virginia region environment, probably sitting in the Sydney or in the Mumbai region, right? So when you configure a failover routing policy, you can specify that one is the primary record and the Sydney one or your Mumbai one is your secondary record. So what happens if suppose the primary fails, then all of your translations are going to be done to your secondary record, right? So in that way, you can ensure that you can have zero downtime or probably like 20-30 seconds of downtime for your end users. So if suppose you would go with an active passive failover, but if you want an active failover configuration where you have two identical environments, then probably I would suggest going with latency routing policy for active failover. But failover routing policy supports active passive failover, wherein if suppose you specify that one environment has gone down using health checks, then probably all of your record traffic is going to go to the secondary environment, which is sitting in the Mumbai region and so on, right? So the next one, which is called as geolocation routing policy, is where if suppose you want to route traffic based on the location of your users. So let's say, for example, I'm sitting in Chennai right now and I'm recording this session, and I have my friend who's sitting in the US, right? And if suppose my infrastructure is somewhere in Japan, then you can think to yourself how geolocation routing policy would work based on the location of the user. So if I'm the end user in Chennai, I may be able to resolve immediately to the Japan based web server that has been set up rather than the person who's sitting in the US. So depends on where the user's location is. And the next routing policy, which is called as geo proximity, which they released in the year 2018, I believe. So you can use this to route traffic based on the location of your resources and optionally shift traffic from resources in one location to resources in another. So how you would see this is when I show you the example, you would get more clarity on this. But then if suppose you remember the world map sitting in front of your eyes right now, and you divide the world map into multiple different sections. So based on each and every section that you divide the world map in, that respective set of users will be able to view the website that has been hosted in that respective region, right? That's pretty much possible. So I'll show you the diagram in the next subsequent slide and you'll get an idea regarding that. So let's go to the next one, the latency routing policy. So when you work with the latency routing policy, it determines the latency from between the end user to that respective server that you have set up in that region. And the lowest latency or the best latency gets first preference, right? So let's say, for example, there are two regions where you have hosted your application. You have one in Northern Virginia, you have one in Mumbai region, right? And if suppose a user who's in Europe is trying to access your application, it is going to check the latency records between the Europe location and the Northern Virginia location, and the Europe and the Mumbai region. So now the latency, which is much lower, right? That takes in the first priority, right? So all of your users' traffic is going to only that particular location. But if suppose that primary location fails, then subsequently all of your resource record traffic will only go to your secondary location. That's why this is very good for active failover configuration, wherein you have two active environments rather than having one as active and one as passive when it comes to the failover routing policy. And there is the other routing policy called as multi-value answer routing policy, which again was released in 2018. So where you want Route 53 to respond to DNS queries, where you have up to 8 healthy records selected at random. So you can specify up to 8 IP addresses or a combination of IP addresses and DNS names, but you can specify up to 8 healthy records. So your resolvable answer is going to be up to 8 healthy records. So that let's say, for example, you have registered www.example.com and you have specified like 8 healthy records, then each and every time you hit www.example.com, you're going to get 8 healthy records as your response for the resolution, right? So that is called as multi-value answer routing policy, as the name suggests, multi-value, right? And the last routing policy we are going to discuss is called as weighted routing policy. So this is used to route traffic to multiple resources in proportions that you specify. So let's say, for example, you have two environments again, wherein you have two versions of your application this time running. So the version one of your application is running from the Northern Virginia region, and your version two of your application is running from the Mumbai region, right? So when this is the use case, and you configure a weighted routing policy, I can specify that 70% of the traffic should go to the Northern Virginia region and 30% of the traffic should go to the Mumbai region. So I'll be specifying this in weights of 1 to 255, which we'll be studying in the subsequent slides. But when you specify something like this, like 70% of traffic going to one version of your application and 20% or 30% of traffic going to another version of your application, this is a use case where you would use weighted routing policy. And this is also called as blue-green deployment. And for blue-green deployment, weighted routing policy is very, very important to note. Because when you are having an environment that is in the green status and it's, serving production traffic, and then you are updating that environment, but you're not directly updating that green environment, you're spawning up a new blue environment. And once this blue environment is up and running, you are targeting 20% or 10% of the traffic to the blue environment to just test that subset of users. And then once you're happy with everything, the blue becomes the green, and then the green becomes the blue, right? So that's how you do blue green deployments with zero downtime. And the routing policy that helps you to do that is the weighted routing policy. So simple routing policy, like we spoke about, it lets you configure standard DNS records with no special routing such as weighted or latency. So it could be a simple like example.com to your EC2 instances public IP, or it could be example.com to your S3 bucket, which is also called as example.com, or it could be example.com that goes to your CloudFront distributions domain name. So it could be a simple routing policy, right? As simple as it is, just one translation that happens. And with failover routing policy, you can use health checks over here. So you can configure primary and secondary records. And with the primary and secondary records, what happens is you can specify that this record is primary or this environment is primary. So that becomes the active environment, and all of your end users traffic is going there. But then if suppose that environment fails, then all of your traffic will go to your secondary environment, right? So with geolocation routing policy, it lets you to choose the resources that you serve the traffic from based on the geolocation of your users. So for example, you might want all of the queries from Europe to be routed to the ELB load balancer in the Frankfurt region, right? So you have to specify the region over there when you create the geolocation routing policy, and you can localize your content and so on depending on that. And you can also use geolocation routing to restrict distribution of content to only the locations that you have the distribution rights for, right? So you have to specify the region over there. So this is where it comes to the geo proximity routing policy, and you can see that we have divided the world map into 5 different sections over here. So you can route your traffic to your resources based on the geolocation, based on the geographic location of your user as well as your resources. So you can see over here that we have numbered the regions 1 to 4, and then there is a separate location over here in Africa, right? So now what happens is the users within this region end up only viewing the content that is being served from that respective region, right? And the users in these regions end up looking at the content that is served only from that region. So in that way, you get more control over how you would like to route your traffic based on the location of your users and obviously the location of your resources, right? So when it comes to the latest latency routing policy, we spoke about this a little bit before, but let's directly go into the example. So with the latency routing policy, so for example, you have a load balancer in the US West Oregon region, and then you have a load balancer in the Singapore region, and you create a latency record for each load balancer. So here's what happens when a user in London goes ahead and enters the domain name in the browser. So a DNS routes the query to the Route 53's name server. Route 53 then refers to its data on latency between the source, which is London and Singapore, and London and Oregon, where your two infrastructures are. And then if the latency is lower between London and Oregon, automatically Route 53 responds with the query with the IP address of the Oregon load balancer. If the latency is lower between London and Singapore, then Route 53 responds with the IP address of the Singapore load balancer. So that's how latency routing policy works. So this can also be used for active-active failover capability. And with multi-value answer routing policy, it lets you configure Route 53 to return multiple values such as IP addresses or DNS names in conjunction uh, as a response to your query, right? So you can specify up to multiple values for almost any records, but then Multi-value answer routing policy also checks the health of your record, not like the simple routing policy. And it also returns the values of only the healthy records that are available. So it's actually not a substitute for a load balancer, right? But then it has the ability to return multiple health checkable IP addresses. And it's a way of using DNS to improve the availability and also the load balancing. So, but it's actually not considered to be a substitute for a load balancer. Just know that you can specify up to 8 healthy records. Right? And finally, when it comes to the weighted routing policy, a weighted routing lets you associate multiple resources with a single domain name or a subdomain name, and chooses how much traffic you would like to route to those respective resources, right? So it could be used for testing new versions of your software, like version 1 and version 2. So here, for example, you have to mention a tiny portion of your traffic to one resource and the rest of the traffic to the other resource. So you can mention the weights up from 1 to 255. So the resource with the weight 1 gets 1 by 256 of the traffic, and the other resource gets 255 out of 256 of the traffic. So you can gradually change the balance by changing the weights. And if you want to stop sending traffic to a resource, you can always put a 0 for the weight for that respective resource, right? So that means all of your traffic will be sent only to that respective environment. That could be the latest version of the environment that you would like to serve your end users, right? And other than the routing policies, the most important concept of Route 53 is to understand some of the resource types or your record types, right? So we have the A record type that is being used for IPv4 addresses. And we have the 4A record type that is being used for the IPv6 addresses. We have the CNAME record type for a domain name. And Route 53 also has its own record type that is used for its internal resources like a CloudFront distribution, an S3 website endpoint, Elastic Beanstalk environment, API gateway, load balancing, and so on. And that resource record type is called as alias records. Okay, so we are going to use alias records, and I'm going to show you as to how it works. And then you also have NS record, which is the name server record, which AWS themselves creates for us. And we don't have to worry about the NS record and the start of authority record, which is the SOA record. So the NS record identifies the name servers for a particular hosted zone, and the value for the NS record is the domain name of that name server. Right? And then we have the start of authority record that provides information about the domain, which is like a metadata record, and the corresponding hosted zone. So this is also created by AWS for us. And then we have the TXT record, so which contains one or more strings. So generally, where would we use TXT records or CNAME records? So one good example where we can use CNAME records is wherein we would like to create an SSL certificate for our application, and we would like to go ahead and verify the SSL certificate with our domain name, right? So, and we want to do DNS validation for our SSL certificate that we have purchased. So in that particular use case, you will be given a CNAME record and a TXT record to go ahead and verify. So if suppose you are creating your own email domain, right? If you're creating your own email domain for your organization, then you would get a record type called as MX, which is called as a mail exchange record type, which I have not listed over here. And even the mail exchange record type is also one of the record types that Route 53 supports, right? So knowing all of these concepts, let me just walk you through the practicality of it. But before that, I would like to explain the setup that I have done. So you can see over here, we are in the Northern Virginia region, and we have a load balancer over here. And this load balancer is sitting in front of two EC2 instances. And both these two EC2 instances and the load balancer are sending out a response which says, hello from Northern Virginia. Which says, hello from Northern Virginia, right? And similarly, we have a load balancer in the Mumbai region. And we have two EC2 instances, right? Let's go to instances. So we have two EC2 instances in the Mumbai region, and these guys are saying, hello from Mumbai, right? Cool. So we have one website that says hello from Northern Virginia and one that says hello from Mumbai. So now let's go ahead and configure our Route 53 record sets. So we will start off with the Route 53's concepts. So I have registered a domain name. I just did this today. And luckily it was registered and created today itself. So when you are going to register a domain name, you have to go ahead and click on register domain, right? You can go ahead and purchase your own domain name. It supports a lot of different, top level domain names, right? So you can enter something like, and then click on check, and it will tell you whether it's available or not. And then it will also tell you the other, options, right? And you have to go ahead and click on add to cart. And then you have to fill in your contact details regarding your address, your name, and your other personal details like your telephone number and so on. And then you have to wait for at least 10 to 15 minutes. And then you have to go to your billing dashboard and you have to pay the bill for this $12 for the domain name that you purchased, right? And then you will get a confirmation mail from AWS stating that your domain name has been purchased and it's verified, and now it's available to use. And they have also created a hosted zone for you and also 2 record types for you. So, and you can also enable auto renewal for your domain name when you purchase it, so that it's automatically renewed year after year. Okay. So these are, these are the steps that you have to do in order to go ahead and purchase a domain name. But if you want to transfer your domain name from GoDaddy to Route 53, that's also possible, wherein you have to use the transfer domain option. Again, it's out of the scope of this exam, right? But we are going to anyways look at how do you configure a hosted zone, how do you configure Route 53 records and so on, right? So let's go to hosted zones. And by default, a hosted zone will be created for you once you have purchased your Route 53 domain, right? And if you click on your hosted zone over here, but before clicking on this, let me create another hosted zone and show you that we have the option of creating a public hosted zone or a private hosted zone. When we do it as a private hosted zone, we have to specify the VPC ID. And since it's a global service, it specifies all of the regions over here and all of the VPCs in that region. And this is a brand new account, so you have only the default VPCs over here, right? So now let me go ahead and go into this particular hosted zone, right? And you can see that we have the NS record and the start of authority record that are already created for us. And we also learned as to what these 2 record types were. Don't worry, you don't have to remember any of the record types going into your exam. But let's go ahead and create record sets right now. So let's look at the simple routing policy first. So I'm going to create a record set. And I'm going to call this as website1.zerosinitiative.com. And the type is going to be a record. And the value is going to be alias. Or probably I'll just show you what alias records are. So you can see the alias target, which is an AWS Route 53 record set, which they introduced, can be used for CloudFront distribution, Elastic Beanstalk environment, load balancers DNS name, which we already have set up right now, S3 static website endpoint, VPC endpoint, API gateway endpoint, global accelerated DNS name endpoint, right? So these are the different resources that are supporting the alias target, right? But right now we'll go with the CNAME target, right? And with the CNAME target, we are not going to go with the alias record type. And I'm going to change this TTL to 1 minute, right? And the value I'm going to paste over here is my DNS of my Northern Virginia, right? Load balancer. I'm just going to paste this over here. Cool. So let's go ahead and click on create. And we are going to choose the simple routing policy over here. Let's click on create. And you can see this particular CNAME was created. Let's create one more. Let's create one more for the Mumbai. So I'm just going to call this as website 1 Mumbai.zerosinitiative.com. And I'm going to use the A record, and this time I'm going to use the alias, and I'm going to specify the Mumbai load balancer so that you see the difference between CNAME and alias too. But with alias, you can't modify your TTL, and only with CNAME you can do that. So let's go ahead and choose simple routing policy. And you can see with the alias record type and with the CNAME, the other difference is that with CNAME, you get to go ahead and not evaluate your target health. It's not available. But with alias, you are able to do that for even the simple routing policy. So you can evaluate your target health. You can choose not to also, right? Let's go ahead and click on create. So we have created 2 record types right now. One is website 1.zerosinitiative.com. Let me just copy this. So this is a simple routing policy. So this should automatically resolve to your hello from NV, right? Which is the website one. Yeah. So let's go to an incognito window. And let me just paste this. Brilliant. So we got it, hello from NV for website 1. And let's do website 1 Mumbai, which is another simple routing policy that goes to the Mumbai region's load balancer. Brilliant. So we got hello from Mumbai. So that's how you do simple routing policy, a simple DNS name to a DNS name. When you choose an A record and you choose an alias, you can mention the load balancer's domain name. But if you don't choose an alias with A record type, you can only go ahead with IP addresses, right? So let's go ahead and delete both of these record sets. Okay, so we are ready for the next routing policy. So let's go ahead and choose let me do a fun thing right now because I also have a VPN server ready. So let's do the geolocation routing policy. So let's go ahead and create a record set. And let's go ahead with website 2 right now, .zerosinitiative.com. And this is going to be a CNAME record. And I'm going to go ahead and paste the Northern Virginia regions. Load balancers DNS name over here. But this time I'm going to go with geolocation routing policy. And this time I'm going to choose a region. So I'm going to choose somewhere in the US, North America, right? And I'm going to denote this as the set ID for NV, right? Just a unique name that you're going to give. And you can remember that you can associate it with health checks, right? And I'm going to change the TTL to be 1 minute. I'm going to click on create. So let's create one more resource record. So let's create one more. So let's call this as website 2 again, .zerosinitiative.com. Again, I'm going to make it a CNAME record. And I'm going to go with the TTL as 1 minute. But this time I'm also going to put the Mumbai region over here. Mumbai region CLB. And I'm going to choose geolocation. But this time I'm going to choose the location to be Mumbai. Probably India. Yep. Yeah. And let's put the set ID to be Mumbai. And let's go ahead and click on create. So we have created the same name for the resource record set, right? So that's something that you'll have to remember for failover routing policy, for latency routing policy, and even for geolocation routing policy. So since I'm in Chennai right now, I should go ahead and resolve only to the Mumbai's region, right? So let's go ahead and take a website 2.zerosinitiative.com, right? Let's take this. Since I'm sitting in Chennai, I should only go to Mumbai. I should not go to Northern Virginia. If we go to Northern Virginia, we are wrong. Brilliant. So we are only going to Mumbai. How many ever times you reload this? It will only go to Mumbai because your geolocation is Chennai. And obviously you're close to Mumbai rather than Northern Virginia, right? But then I'm going to bring in the twist over here. I do have VPN. Let me just Express VPN, I think. Yeah. Yep. And I'm going to go ahead and connect to New York over here. And let's see right now how this changes. Cool. We are connected to New York. Let me just see if Google works. Brilliant. Google works. So let me just refresh this guy right now. Brilliant. It goes to Northern Virginia. See, that's how geolocation routing policy works. Now let me go ahead and off the VPN. Cool. I'm disconnected. Let me minimize this. Let's look at the next routing policy. So close the incognito browser. Yep. Back. Okay. Let's delete both of these. Delete these record sets. Yep. Now let's do the latency routing policy, which is pretty much the same, but then it takes in the latency rather than the geolocation, right? So let's create another record set. Let's call this as website 3. Man, this is working pretty fine. I was thinking it wouldn't work. Okay, so let's again go with the CNAME record set so that I can control the TTL. And I'm going to similarly put the Northern Virginia's load balancer over here, the DNS name. But this time I'm going to choose the latency routing policy. And I'm going to go ahead and choose the US East 1 region because this is the Northern Virginia region. And I'm just going to denote it as NV. And I'm going to go ahead and click on create. Let me click on create one more resource record with the same website 3. Right. And again, I'm going to go ahead and choose the CNAME record. And I'm going to go ahead with the Mumbai load balancer over here. Right. And I'm going to go with latency. And this time I'm going to choose AP South 1, which it has automatically chosen for me based on where my value is, right? So let me denote this set ID as Mumbai. And let me just go ahead and click on create. So now, since I'm not connected to the VPN, it's going to check the latency record that it has between me sitting in Chennai and the server that is there in Mumbai, right? That we have set up. And it's also going to check the latency between Chennai and Northern Virginia. So obviously the latency between Chennai to Mumbai should be much lesser, right? So let's see if it resolves only to Mumbai. So let's take website 3 and let us go ahead and open an incognito window again. And let us go ahead and paste it over here. Cool, it only goes to Mumbai because the latency between Chennai and Mumbai is much less than the latency between Chennai and Northern Virginia. But then we also have our ExpressVPN. Let's go ahead and again connect to New York. Cool. So we are connected to New York. Let me just open up Google and see if things are fine. Yep, things are fine. Let's go ahead and refresh this guy. Cool. Now it goes to Northern Virginia, because obviously Northern Virginia to New York is much lesser latency record set than Northern Virginia to, New York to Mumbai, right? Because we are right now in New York. That's how our VPN shows us, right? So again, even latency routing policy works pretty fine. Right? So let me go ahead and switch off the VPN again. Cool. Let's look at the next routing policy. What happened? Oh God, Google Chrome quit unexpectedly. I'm sorry for that. Let's restore the pages. Shouldn't have happened. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and remove both of these record sets now. Cool. Cool. So now we have looked at the simple routing policy. We have looked at the geolocation routing policy. We have looked at the latency routing policy. Let's do the weighted routing policy. So let's go ahead and create a record set. Let us call this as website 4. And this time I'm going to go again with CNAME, wherein I can control the TTL. I'm going to go with the DNS name over here of the Northern Virginia region as the value. Right? But this time I'm going to choose weighted. And with the weights, I'm going to go with somewhat equal weights. It takes a little bit of time to set this in. So let's go with the weight of 1 to 255 that we have to match, right? So we are going to go with 120 for the Northern Virginia, right? And I'm just going to call this as NV. I'm going to click on create. And 255 minus 120 would be for the other one. So let's click on create record set. And even over here, it has to be the same name, right? Both of them have to be the same, right? For weighted to work. But this time, this guy is going to the Mumbai region, wherein I have my version 2 of my application probably. Let me take the Mumbai ALB DNS name, paste it. Let me go to weighted routing policy. And 255 minus 120 is 135, right? And the set ID is going to be Mumbai. I'm going to click on create, right? So right now what's going to happen is we are going to have traffic, the traffic dividing between the weights. So it's going to be 120 and 135 that we have given, 135 that goes to the Mumbai region and 120 that goes to the Northern Virginia region. So let's just test this out without using the VPN. We wouldn't need the VPN for this use case. So let's go ahead and copy website 4 and let's paste it in the incognito window and then refresh and see if it jumps between Mumbai and Northern Virginia. So website 4 now goes to Mumbai. Okay, so it's taking a little bit of time. So I'm keeping on refreshing. I'm still not seeing Northern Virginia, but probably we'll just give it a little bit of time. We'll give it a little bit of time. Let's keep that open. And in the meantime, let's do some health checks and let's come back. Because from my experience that I've tested out weighted routing policy, it takes a little bit of time to set in. So I'll just wait for a little bit of time because even the TTL is 60 seconds. So let's wait. Let's give it some time. In the meantime, let's do health checks and let's also learn about the failover routing policy, right? So to do health checks, let's go to health checks on the left side. And you can see we can create a health check over here. And one good thing about health checks is that you can even find out whether your database server is up and running or whether your database server is not working properly. And based on which you could also promote one of your read replicas of your database to become its own standalone server. So it has a lot of power by doing health checks. And this health check, since Route 53 is a global service, you can monitor any of your infrastructure that you have set up across different regions, right? So that's the advantage of using a Route 53 health check in contrast to a load balancers health check that does health checks only between availability zones, right? That your resources are in. So let's create the health check. Let's choose the health check name. Let's give it as NV ALB health check HC. And we are going to choose the endpoint that we are going to monitor. It's a domain name. And the domain name of the Northern Virginia is this. So I'm going to take the domain name of the Northern Virginia's load balancer and paste it. And you can see again, the port is 80 and the path is just /. And you can see over here, this is how the URL is formed for the health check. And this URL, if you take it and paste it on the browser, you will see the same response that you saw over here, right? Which is hello from Northern Virginia. So your health check should go to the success status. And you can do some advanced configuration like over here, wherein you can choose the health check regions and the failure threshold and something like that, right? Whether you want to do a fast health check or a standard health check, which is 30 seconds and so on. Let's go ahead and click on next. Over here, you can choose to whether create a CloudWatch alarm, and through which you can choose to notify your administrators of your AWS account, or probably the infra team, stating that one of your infra is down and so on. But I'm not going to configure alarm over here whenever the health check fails, but you could also do that. So you can send it to an existing SNS topic or to a new SNS topic, right? I'm not going to configure the health check alarm, but just know that you can trigger alarms to, intimate your infra setup team that one of your infra is down. So let's go ahead and create this health check. Let's also create one more health check for the Mumbai region CLB. So let's create another health check, and I'm going to call this as Mumbai ALB HC, right? And this is again an endpoint. So let me just copy the Mumbai ALB's endpoint. Let me go to my domain name over here. Let me paste it. Cool. Let me click on next. We're not going to create an alarm over here again. Let's go ahead and create the health check. So now you can see both of these health checks are in unknown status, but if you wait for a little bit of time, both of them will come to the healthy status and it'll show that it's healthy, right? So we'll just wait for some time. And in the meantime, let's just check whether this is now resolving, this weighted routing policy is resolving to Northern Virginia. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's now going to Northern Virginia and it's going to stay there for some time. And then it's going to go to Mumbai region after some time that we wait for the TTL to expire, which is 60 seconds and so on, right? So this website 4 right now is our weighted routing policy. So let's go back to our hosted zone. Let's just take a look at it. So now this guy is our weighted routing policy, this website 4. It automatically juggles between Northern Virginia and Mumbai. So let's just go back and refresh this. Still in Northern Virginia. Probably we'll just give it some time before it resolves to Mumbai. Right? Cool. So let's create 2 more resource records over here for our failover routing policy, where we designate our Northern Virginia region as our primary region and the Mumbai region as our secondary region. So let's do that. So let's create a record set. Let's call this as website 5.zerosinitiative.com. And I'm going to go with CNAME, and I'm going to go with 1 minute health check, right? And you can choose your failover routing policy. And I'm going to put in the Northern Virginia as my primary region over here. So this is my Northern Virginia as ALB's DNS name. I'm going to put in the values over here. And you can see that we can choose a website 5 primary as the set ID, but instead of website 5, I'm just going to call this as NV as my primary region, which is this is the active region that is serving my production users. I'm going to associate it with the health check, and I'm going to choose the NV ALB health check, right? And let's go ahead and click on create. Let's create 1 more resource record over here for website 5. And let's go ahead and change this to CNAME with 1 minute TTL. Let's copy the Mumbai's ALB. Right? And let me go ahead and choose the failover routing, but this time instead of primary, we're going to go with the secondary record. And instead of website 5, I'm just going to call this as Mumbai is my secondary, right? And I'm going to associate this with the health check, which is my Mumbai's health check, right? Let's go ahead and click on create. Cool. So now you have created your resource records. So you have created your records for website 4, which is your weighted routing policy, and website 5, which is your failover routing policy. So you can see over here, Northern Virginia is your primary and Mumbai is your secondary. Let's take a second to check whether our health check has come up and it's healthy, right? Brilliant. So Mumbai and Northern Virginia, ALB, both are in healthy status right now according to Route 53, right? So let's go ahead and go back to hosted zones. And let's copy the website 5 resource record from here. Let's copy the website 5. And you can see over here, every time that we go to website 5, let me just refresh this and see for weighted if it goes back to Mumbai. Cool. Cool. Anyways, this is working. So weighted is working. But let's go back and open a new incognito window for the failover routing policy. So how many other times you do this, it's only going to redirect all of your traffic to Northern Virginia, because Northern Virginia is your primary, right? Northern Virginia is your primary. No one can fight with that. Northern Virginia is your primary. But then if suppose Northern Virginia goes down, then all of your traffic would be sent to Mumbai. So let's test that out, test that theory out. So what we are going to do is we are going to remove this load balancer and our entire infrastructure in the Northern Virginia region, right? So let's go to load balancers. We are on that page. So let's go ahead and delete. Let's go delete the target group. Let's go to instances. And let's terminate both of my instances. So our entire Northern Virginia region is down right now. All of our infra is gone. But let's see if Route 53 automatically finds that out and redirects all of the traffic to Mumbai. So let's wait on the health check page and let's see if it finds out whether my Northern Virginia ALB is healthy or it's unhealthy. So we'll just have to wait for a little bit of time because it does the health checks every 30 seconds to 1 minute. And there is a failure threshold that has been configured as three times that it has to fail, right? So 30 into 3, which is 90 seconds approximately that we have to wait. So let's just wait for 90 seconds. Fingers crossed. Let's wait for 90 seconds. Okay, so in the meantime, I'll just show you these tabs below. So this is your monitoring tab for one of your health checks. So you can see over here, the health checks are over here, and you can see the health check status is over here, and you can just monitor this. So let's see if it has found out whether it's unhealthy again. Okay, it's still showing it as healthy, right? And again, you can see the alarms that you can configure over here. It creates the alarm in CloudWatch, wherein you can hook up a SNS topic to that, right? This active passive configuration that we are doing right now. And you can see we have tags over here and we have the health checkers that has happened, right? And the latency, if you want to view the latency, right? Okay, cool. Let's see if this has found out. So the failure threshold is 3 and the request interval is 30 seconds. So it approximately 90 seconds should do the trick. So let's see. Still showing it as healthy. Okay. So we'll just wait for a little bit of time. Just wait for a little bit of time. But let's just see what our website displays. Yeah, so our website is down. We'll just wait for a little bit of time. Because this active passive, you may have some downtime with active and passive setup. It depends on your RTO and RPO for your organization. So if you want zero downtime, then I would suggest going with active failover, wherein you go with the latency routing policy. So even if one of the records fail, it still redirects all of your resources to, I'm sorry, even if one of the regions fail, it automatically redirects all of your resources to all of your requests from the internet to another region's infrastructure, right? So that's how active works. Okay, beautiful. Now it has found out that NVALB is unhealthy. Now let's see how this works. So let's just refresh this guy. Oh, beautiful, man. It has already gone to Mumbai. So that's how failover routing policy works. So there was a little bit of downtime, like at least 1.5 minutes, that your active passive was not working. But now we can see that it's redirecting all of your traffic to Mumbai because your Northern Virginia infrastructure is down, right? So let me go ahead and talk about one more routing policy that probably we wouldn't see the practicality of it, but then I'm just going to show you that. So going back to hosted zones, going back to zerosinitiative.com's hosted zone, you can see that you can also go ahead and create a resource record. Let me just remove these two for weighted routing policy. And let me also remove these two for failover that we created. Let me just show you how to create a multi-value answer routing policy. So you go ahead and specify your website 6 or your domain name over here. I'm just going to increment it by 1. And I'm going to go ahead and choose CNAME record, or you could choose a record. And when you go ahead and choose this multi-value answer routing policy, you can go ahead and give at least 8 healthy records over here. So even if you choose CNAME, so you can see over here, CNAME is not supported with multi-value answer. NS record is not supported. Start of authority record is not supported with multi-value answer, but all the other record types are supported. So you can give up to 8 IP addresses separated by comma over here. So it will go ahead and respond back with all of your healthy hosts. And you can also associate this with the health check that you create, right? So you can create health checks like 6 or 8 health checks for individual endpoints, right? Individual IP addresses and so on. So that's multi-value answer routing policy. You can specify up to 8 healthy records, and you can also associate individual health checks with individual records, IP addresses that you mentioned over here, right? And the final routing policy, which is the geo proximity routing policy. I'm not going to create that because it incurs a lot of cost, but then I'm just going to show you as to how to do that. So you can first go ahead and configure your traffic policies, right? So you can create a traffic policy over here. You can just give the policy a name. So test, I'm just going to give it as test. So you can also use this traffic policy or this traffic flow for all of the other routing policies that you study, which is the weighted or the latency and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it to a geo proximity rule. And I'm going to choose the first region to be Northern Virginia region, but I don't have any setup over there. So let me go ahead and choose the Mumbai region where I do have the setup. Yes. So let me open up this geo map over here, and I'm going to connect this to a new endpoint, and I'm going to choose my load balancer over here, application load balancer, which is automatically set to the Mumbai, right? Mumbai's ALB. And we have the first region over here. You can go ahead and divide this into two regions by just choosing the second region. So if I choose Northern Virginia over here, it's going to divide your traffic based on your geolocations of your user and the location of your resources, right? So I can choose to connect this to a static website hosted endpoint in Mumbai. So I do have one bucket, I believe. So let me create a new endpoint over here, and let me choose the S3 website endpoint. And you can see we do have a website endpoint over here in the Northern Virginia region. So you can go ahead and create this policy, this traffic policy, right? So let's go ahead and create this traffic policy. Let's create the traffic policy. And you can see over here, it's going to ask us to create a policy record. And each record is pretty damn costly. It's $50. But still, I'm going to end up creating this for you guys. Let's check and test it out whether it works. So website 7, I'm going to create this as. And this is my hosted zone because I do have only one. Let's go ahead and create the policy record. So this will take a little bit of time. Let's wait until this policy record is created. So probably the output that I'm thinking that should work is if I put website 7.0initiative.com right now, it should go to the Mumbai ALB. But what happens if I open my VPN and I'm setting myself to Northern Virginia region, and then I put website 7.0initiative.com? Then where would I go to, right? That's the question, right? Let's see. Let's try it out and see. I haven't honestly tried this out before. I would love to, but let's just see. It's still in the creating status. Just wait for a second or two. Cool. It's in the applied status right now. So let's go ahead and copy website 7. Let's paste this in the browser and let's see what happens. Cool. So let me just close this incognito window and open up one more. Yes. So let me just paste this over here. So it says hello from Mumbai. Beautiful. But what happens if I open my VPN and shift it to New York? Let's see. It's connected to New York. Let me open up Google and check whether it's working. Yes. Let me just refresh this guy and see what happens now. Oh, it says, yeah, the bucket name is wrong. But then it was actually redirecting to the bucket, which is crazy, right? So you can just use one resource record, and based on the geolocation of your user and based on the geolocation of your resource, you can use just one resource record type and shift your traffic to different applications, right? Which is crazy. So just to test this theory out, you can go ahead and create the same infrastructure that you have over here in your Northern Virginia region again, right? Because we terminated it just to check out the failover routing policy. But I will leave it to you guys to test the theory out. So with the same resource record type, which is website 7, when we are accessing it from Chennai, we are close to Mumbai. So it goes ahead and translates our resource record to the Mumbai region's ALB, right? Which was the destination that we saw. So if I just switch this off right now and I go back to the browser and I refresh this page, it goes to hello from Mumbai. But what happens if I go to Northern Virginia? Probably set my VPN to New York or to California, right? It is going to go and translate all of my resource records to the Northern Virginia region's resource, which is not existent right now, right? And it's not working right now. But I would like you guys to test this theory out. So based on the geolocation of your user and based on the geolocation of your resources, you can just use one domain name to translate all of your records, right? This is pretty crazy. Yeah. It was introduced in 2018. Geo proximity routing policy and multi-value answer routing policy was introduced in 2018, which was amazing, right? But again, I don't think it's part of the exam. I haven't seen personally any questions that come up regarding geo proximity or multi-value answer. But just since that I showed you that, please do remember that it will be really useful for you in your day-to-day activities if you're working with Route 53, right? So let me go ahead and remove my infrastructure in the other region, which is the Mumbai region. So let me go. But before that, let me remove the most important thing, which is this policy record, which costs $50. Yeah. So let me go ahead and remove this. Cool. So let me remove the target group. Let me remove the EC2 instances in the Mumbai region. Cool. So let me see if this resource record is also deleted. Yep, still in the deleting status. Once this is deleted, then we can go ahead and delete our traffic policy. Right. The policy records are pretty costly. Right. I just hope I'm not billed $50 at the end of this month. But still, thanks a lot, guys, for attending this session. So I'll open up for questions and I'll stop the recording. Thanks a lot and have a great day. Yeah.